Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows. Many people today, if they know the shadow at all, they probably know the 1994 movie starring Alec Baldwin, Penelope Ann Miller, and John Lone as Shiwan Khan. Or maybe if they're lucky enough, they've come across a stray comic book somewhere at a convention. But the shadow himself is much older. He's much stranger, and he's much more influential than any single movie could ever hope to capture. He is the original creature of the night. Before Batman, before the Punisher, before the modern concept of the vigilante, there was this voice on the radio that chilled the blood of the criminal underworld. He is an eclectic icon, a hero born of the airwaves and the pulp magazines of the Great Depression. And today, we're going to peel back the cloak. We're going to look at where he came from, why he terrified the people he was trying to save, and, more importantly, how this story mirrors the psychological concept of the shadow within all of us. But before we dive deep into the darkness here, please do me a huge favor and hit like and subscribe for the channel, because it helps me keep these going, tells the algorithm that you like me, that you really like me, and, I don't want you to miss any more of these dives into heroic icons or any of my other perspectives of Jerry. Now, let's talk about the man who wasn't there. To understand the shadow, you have to understand that he wasn't supposed to be a hero. He was just a narrator for a radio program called Detective Story Magazine. He was a marketing gimmick, a mysterious, spooky voice that was meant to encourage people to buy the magazine. But the audience didn't care about the stories in the magazine. They wanted to know more about the guy with the voice. This led to the Pulp era explosion. Writer Walter B. Gibson, under the pen name of Maxwell Grant, turned this voice into a character. And this is where it gets eclectic. In the radio show, famously voiced by a young Orson Welles, the shadow had the power to cloud men's minds. He was invisible, but in pulp novels, he wasn't invisible at all. He was a master of disguise, a tactical genius who used darkness, stage magic, twin .45 caliber pistols, and he waged war on crime. He had multiple identities. He was Kent Allard, a World War I flying ace. He was also Lamont Cranston, a wealthy socialite. He lived in the space between identities. And this tells us something vital about this heroic icon. The hero isn't the mask. The hero is the will behind the mask. Let's add some weight to this. Why call him the shadow? Well, if we look at Carl Jung's analytical psychology, the shadow is the side of our personality that contains everything we've pushed away. Our anger, our repressed desires, our capacity for violence. Most people spend their whole lives running away from their shadow. They try to be all light. But Jung argued that a person who ignores their shadow is dangerous because they don't know what they're capable of. He said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. That is exactly what this character represents. The shadow is a hero who has looked into his own darkness, his own capacity for violence and fear, and instead of being consumed by it, he mastered it. He uses the darkness of the underworld to defeat the underworld, literally using the power of the enemy. When he clouds men's minds, it's a psychological metaphor. He wins because he understands the psychology of his enemies better than they understand themselves. He knows what evil relies on to that evil relies on being hidden. By becoming the shadow, he takes away their only advantage. He is the accountability that no one can escape. Ask yourself, what parts of your own shadow are you ignoring? What strengths, like ambition or your assertiveness, have you tucked away because you're afraid of how they look? The shadow teaches us that when we master our darker traits, they become our most powerful tools for good. And it's hard to overstate how much this character influenced everything we love today. If you like Batman, you're a fan of the Shadow. Bill Finger, the co creator of Batman, openly admitted that the very first Batman story, The Case of the Chemical Syndicate, was essentially a rewrite of a Shadow story. The Playboy persona of Bruce Wayne, Lamont Cranston. The Secret Laboratory, the Shadow had it first. The idea of using theatricality and deception as a weapon, that is the core of the Shadow's DNA. But it goes further. Look at Sam Raimi's Darkman. Look at the grit of the 1970s vigilante films. They all owe a debt to this pulp hero who proved that a hero doesn't need to wear bright spandex to be iconic. He just needed a silhouette and a purpose. The bridge between the Victorian detectives like Sherlock Holmes and the modern superhero. He brought us the super into the detective by adding a touch of supernatural and the psychological. So, what can we take away from the Shadow today? In a world that feels increasingly chaotic, the Shadow represents the power of observation and discipline. He didn't just rush into a room shooting, he listened, he watched. He built a network of agents. He was a master of the long game. And we can apply that. We can choose to be the people who observe before we react. We can choose to face our own shadows so we aren't ruled by our own hidden fears. The darkness isn't something to be feared if you are the one holding the light. I want to thank you all, as always, for spending some time with me today looking at this eclectic icon. He's been one of my favorites for years. If this if this gave you any new perspective on how to view heroes and ourselves, of course, please do remember to like and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any more of my content. I don't know what I got in store next week. I'll figure that out next week, but I don't want you to miss it. It'll be great. Keep in mind, guys, I do this as a labor of love for the philosophy of these characters. So if you want to support the channel just a little bit more, please do remember that down in the description, there's a link for buymeacoffee.com backslash perspectives of Jerry. Hey, every little cup helps. I love the caffeine. I really do. So until next time, folks, who knows what potential lies in the hearts of men? Well, you do. So, but you gotta be willing to take that look now, don't you? All right, folks. Thank you again. I'm Jerry. This has been a Perspectives of Jerry Heroic Icon series, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.